Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Good afternoon, viewers at home. You are welcome to today's edition of the program in the newsroom. My name is Kayode Adebayo. We are here once again with some topical issues affecting the country. First to be discussed today is the statement credited to INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in which he said that he was expressing optimism that the 2023 polls will be their best. So when we get to the business of the day, my guest will try to look at that remark, whether it will be their best or not. Then secondly, we are going to look at the petrol pump price, the increase in petrol pump price, as federal government is keeping more, while the marketers are increasing the petrol pump price at their own way. So thirdly, we are going to look at the comment by Governor Matawali, in which he asked the traditional rulers in the state to seek approval before conferring titles on anybody. So these three topics we are going to discuss on the program today. And my guest on the program for this edition, my regular guest, Shola Ajiboye, is here with me in the house. Shola, you are welcome on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kayode, and viewers, good afternoon. A pleasure to be here again.
Thank you very much. Sheyi Adeni is also here with me. Sheyi, you are welcome.
Thank you, Kayode. Good afternoon, viewers at home, and good afternoon, people for shoot.
Okay. Now, let's look at this remark by the INEC chairman. 2023 polls will be our best. That is coming from INEC chairman. Shola, what could have prompted the INEC chairman to express this kind of optimism?
Well, it's on two factors. When you look at the amended electoral bill,
okay,
which is now law, that would have given INEC the impetus,
okay,
to be optimistic about its performance,
okay,
in subsequent elections.
okay.
Then secondly, when you look at the performance of INEC at the two governorship elections held in Ekiti and Osun, fine, of course, those are the two premises upon which the INEC chairman based his optimism.
Okay.
And people believe that with the reforms, with the improvements in the electoral law, which INEC lived up to, at least sufficiently, then one can start looking at a properly organized election in future, in which the votes of all Nigerians will count.
Okay.
Of course, see what happened in the Osun governorship election.
Yeah.
Against pessimism, against of course pessimism against pessimism that the election will be manipulated, will be this way. The election held, people cast their ballots, and their vote counts. So you can, so based on that, I just believe that our democracy is in the process of being entrenched, more than before, and that the reforms that we have witnessed in the electoral system, are now being implemented, of course, in phases. So we look forward to a better performance by INEC. And of course, when you look at the stakeholders in the electoral process, INEC is one, as the umpire. The security agencies are there. The various agencies of government that are supposed to espouse the tenets of democratic norms, they also perform very well. The international community now has more confidence in the ability of Nigeria to conduct free and fair polls. And of course, look at the electronic transmission mechanism now used. So, which means whatever vote you cast is automatically transmitted into the server, and that vote will count. So, I want to believe and I want to urge INEC to improve on this part. Electronic voting is now extended to individuals, where you can just sit down at the corner of your home, your bedroom, and cast your vote, and you can't. So we are hoping that INEC is working towards that. and there's nothing that is impossible. We have all the materials here, all the resources, the human resources are there. So it's only the willpower. When we have the government that has the willpower to execute lofty programs, it will be executed. So
Okay.
that's my take.
Yeah, see, if you look at this remark by the INEC chairman, what is your take?
I think first and foremost we need to, personally I want to salute the courage of our lawmakers for living up to expectation in this regard.
Okay.
You know, for allowing electronic voting. And because it really helped very, very great deal. And for the national chairman, I think I attended stakeholders meeting during the before the gubernatorial election, where he called the stakeholders to a meeting, and he told us that the Guba is going to be better.
Yeah.
Because he said that of Ekiti was good,
Yeah.
but that of Osun will be better, and that of next year will be best. And if you look through that, the pattern of voting and how the whole election went through, and you agree with me that truly INEC did a very wonderful job. And this, it is the lawmaker made, and Mr. President assented to that electoral act that make it to be law. Really helped. Because when you personally, I was on ground on that on this just concluded election. I covered the election and I saw how it went. In the history of election, politicians now became powerless on the day of election because they have no control over anybody. They have no control over even the INEC officers. They have no control over even the security apparatus on ground. It now became powerless because everything was done online. The result was uploaded online, and they went to the INEC server. So I think it's a great deal, and I hope that the INEC will continue on that tempo come 2023 general elections.
All right. Now, let me come back to Shola. Now, in your submission, you refer to the successes recorded in Osun and Ekiti election. But if we are talking about the successes recorded in the recent elections, we cannot do without mentioning the contributions of relevant stakeholders, the security agencies, the political parties, and now, if I want us to look at it that these cases are isolated ones. But if the same method is, if the election is conducted nationwide, do you think the INEC can still live up to expectation in terms of the security, the logistics, and all other things that are required for the success of the election? Do you think the INEC can live up to expectation?
Why not? It's willpower. Why not? We have had an election in this country, the Q12 election, which was held nationwide, the most successful of such election anywhere in Africa, even anywhere in the world. It held. There was an electoral body then, isn't it? Maybe it was President or whatever. I mean, there was and the election went throughout the nation, and it went successfully. So why not? We have, like I said, we have all the materials. The willpower is what we need. If those at the end of our affairs are determined to have credible election, it will hold. It will hold. Because if the Nigerians are committed to entrenching their democracy. If you know what went to get into democracy, then nobody wants to lose it. So I believe that, and of course, the parameters are being created now. We had an election, successful election in Ekiti. We have had another one in Osun. I know we'll have other ones successfully in other states. So those are the parameters that INEC is now banking upon. That if you can have this, you can have this. Oh, look at the way the president congratulated the winner almost immediately after the election, because the president himself was satisfied that the election that was held in Osun was credible, was fair, and and comparable to any other election held in any. So it is a show of confidence, and I believe that the INEC chairman was not just talking off cuff. He knew what he was talking about, and what we need, like I said, let all agencies of government, let them be determined to deliver on their obligations.
Okay.
And when we have a government that is also committed to entrenching democracy, there's nothing impossible. I mean, I've just told you that we had an election about 30 years ago, and June 12 election, which went without any age. So why can't we have another one? I mean, of course, there will always be challenges. There is no nation without its challenge. Even those advanced nations that we talk about, there are challenges. But because they have a committed, a patriotic government and a committed citizenry. So there is a synergy between the government and the people. Once that synergy exists, when there's no disconnect between the government and the people, there's no challenge that cannot be surmounted. I'm optimistic that 2023 general election will be successful.
Okay.
And will be another pedestal by which Nigerian democracy will be judged.
All right.
As a matter of fact, we are going to have a better election than we had 30 years ago. That's June 12.
Okay. Thank you, Shola. Sheyi, do you share the opinion expressed by Shola in this regard, that the INEC can be able to succeed
Yes.
on a nationwide scale?
Yes, because like I said, the inclusion of beavers, this machine we use now, really helped very good, and it made the election to be credible, even to be inclusive.
Yeah.
If now, even now, up to now, I've not had any of the aspirants, any of the candidates that said that maybe want to challenge the outcome of the level. Only this, the equivalent government. Though he has not, even the government has not talked about. He has not made any comment. Maybe he will be challenging the election. So the election so credible. And it was fair. Everybody saw that. There's no report of overvoting. Ballot snatch. If you because there's a number in a particular unit. Once the number of voting exceeds that of the, it will go. So automatically it's top this region of overvoting or so I so much believe that if the INEC can continue this pedestrian and work hard also to make, because yes, we have literally two challenges, like issue of vote buying. We still have vote buying. If they can work on that, and that we can only achieve, taking away vote buying, that can only be achieved if the INEC can look in the area of this cubicle. They can try to reconfigure the structure, how they want the placement of cubicle. So that is where the voter will have the opportunity to show the ballot paper to the party agent to confirm maybe he has voted for the party or not. So if they can work on that, I believe we have a very good, credible election in 2023, because Osun has shown to the whole world, to Nigeria and to the whole world, that we can have a very clear election without any rancor, without any killing, any harassment or other. So it's possible, and I share that opinion, and all of us together, so that we will help INEC also to achieve that plan.
All right, let me come back to Shola. Let's look at it from this angle. We all know the politicians, as we have them in this country, their antics. They will always want to achieve their aim by whatever means possible. What would you like INEC to do more, in addition to what it has done, to forestall the incidents of manipulation?
Yes, INEC has a law that established it.
Okay.
That law makes INEC an umpire. That law makes INEC an authority over election. And it is that law that I believe INEC should stand.
Okay.
You see, let the authorities of INEC be resolute that it is going to ensure credible, free and fair election. And let INEC be seen as the authority,
Okay.
that no other law outside it should submerge. Once INEC is once the head of INEC is determined.
Okay.
You see what happened during the I just want to recall what happened during the June 12 in Broglio.
Okay.
When there was a court action instituted by Aton Zeribe, late Aton Zeribe, Association of Better Nigeria,
ABN.
wanting to stop the then INEC or maybe NEC or whatever in conducting the election.
Yeah.
But Professor Musu said, no, that is done. That I will go ahead and conduct the election. The election was held. So, because the external laws are there that you cannot do this, that only INEC can, So, once the laws are there, once a nation is ruled by laws, not by men, that nation will stand. All those advanced nations that we talk about today, they are so advanced not because they are special human beings, not because they were made special, but because they were ruled by laws and not by men. America is great today because American nation is ruled by law, and that law does not exclude anybody from the president to any other person. The president is a subject of law. The American president cannot go beyond the Constitution of America. So, once those who are at the end of affairs realize that they are subject to law, and all the powers that the law of the land give them should be implemented, we will have no problem. I believe that INEC is capable enough to conduct free and fair poll anywhere.
Okay.
And of course, the security agencies we are talking about, they are also subject to law, isn't it? I don't know. Are they not subject to law? The police, the army, the they are also products of law. They have laws guiding them, isn't it? So let everybody be subject to law.
Okay.
And once that is done,
okay,
then the nation is on the pedestal of greatness.
Okay, thank you, Shola. Sheyi, in your own case, what additional effort would you like INEC to make in order to ensure more credible elections in the country?
I think I've mentioned one before that the INEC should look at ways to rearrange the placement of cubicle, because that is the only thing that for now, what I've observed about our election, Osun, Ekiti and Osun, the only problem, the only issue we have on ground now is vote buy. Okay, that's the only issue we have. Okay, issue of thuggery, issue of ballot snatching, ballot stuffing, that one has gone. Okay, so the only issue that is the vote buy, and to curtail that act, it now depends on how we now place that could be that where voters will vote. Yeah. So if they're able to rearrange that the party will not have access to the voters to see the ballot paper. Okay. Even someone suggested that maybe INEC should go ahead to have a kind of envelope. Okay. So after you have handed over your ballot paper with envelope, once you top print, you package your arrange your envelope, you go and drop it. So nobody will have, because once the party doesn't have the idea of which party you voted for, the issue of vote by who, if anybody is giving money that area, and they need to, and also the area of voter registration and education. We still need to educate our people. Some people couldn't vote because they've registered twice. Yeah. Maybe someone has registered in Osun. Maybe you can't find his card again. Now went to Lagos to register again. That kind of people will know what we do. The beavers won't be able to read the thumbprint or to see the face, so they won't be able to. So NK needs to do more of educating the populace more about because now we have online registration. Some of you people who registered online, some of them couldn't finish the registration. So unfortunately, they couldn't get the voters card. So we think they need to work on that also. And like I said, other stakeholders need to join hand with INEC, most especially National Orientation Agency need to work because you need to get to the NEWSROOM. Not like I said the other time, not myself and you. We are not the real voter. We are voter, right? But the real voters, they are somewhere in the bush. They are somewhere in the villages. So we need to get to them, tell them the message, let them understand the message, and know National Orientation Agency need to to wake up to its responsibility to educate the people. And I believe as time goes on, we have a very good, clear, and inclusive election in Nigeria. And even this 2023, I have believed that we're going to have a very clean election.
Okay. Now, Sheyi, what we are saying now is that the INEC should find a way of securing the cubicle in a way to make the ballot more secret. So
the party just won't be able to see the voters. To show the.
There's one particular area. I think the security architecture around our voting process would have to be re-examined to ensure that it is really secret. I mean, you can receive whatever you want to receive. All those buying votes, because maybe they could monitor one way or the other how people voted. So they can give whatever money they, once the election is secret balloting, nobody will know where. So if that is taken care of. The vote buying something will just fizzle out. All right.
And listen, sorry, and I think before now, there's the kind of you are not entitled to take your phone to the. But somewhere it happened. But what happened was that the person just took its phone to the cubicle. Now snapped the party voted for. Okay. You know what that guy did? He now went ahead to share that picture with other voters. Okay. So he just voted. I voted. They are voting for another party, but just voted for the party. Get my money. So that also the INEC to make sure that you are not allowed to take your phone to the cubicle.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We now go to the second topic for our discussion today. Federal government keeps more as marketers increase petrol pump price. Shola, this thing is surprising. Why should the federal government that is having control over the price of petrol, why should they keep more while the marketers are doing what they like? Because for now the petrol is being sold between 180 and 200 naira.
Coyote, you must be, of course, the trending news now in the oil industry is that the NNPC is being commercialized, isn't it? And of course the details are yet to be out, but what it means is that the NNPC will now be run as a wholly commercial enterprise with the lens to fix its own prices. Of course. So when you have that, it means that the oil industry would have been totally deregulated. And in terms of pricing, the federal government will no longer have any say in the price, in fixing the price of petrol and other allied commodities. So it's just a rehearsal of what will happen. And of course, Nigerians of course, NNPC will now be subject to the KAMA, this KAMA law. Right? So Nigerians will now have access to the running of NNPC in terms of shares. In terms of Nigerians will now they can buy shares in NNPC, and the management of NNPC will now be, of course, wholly commercial. It will not be kind of government will still have a president, but it will not be so domineering or determining how prices are, how fuel is sold, or at what price or whatever. So the market supply will now be fully in place. I mean, market forces will now be fully in place. So it's a sign of what is yet to come. Okay. And of course, it is a sign for those who are running various levels of government to now think beyond collecting money from Aso Rock or whatever, oil wind for whatever. Various governments will now start devising means of generating their own revenue, because the handouts will soon cease, because the NNPC will now be fully run as a commercial enterprise, and it means that the idea of remitting money into government coffers and the government sharing it now will soon become a thing of the past. So the federal government can start, of course, it's a rehearsal and it's a beginning. The federal government will no longer have control over the pricing of petroleum products.
Okay.
That's the sign we are. That's why the federal government is keeping more.
Okay.
So all those marketers, well, any marketer is free to fix his own price.
Yeah.
As long as there are buyers there are people to buy it. If I have a filling station, I can fix price for 200 if I know that I will have buyers to buy it. So he can fix his own price at 100 if he has buyers. So it will now be the market force, the supply, demand, and pricing. So anybody, Nigerians have the right to approach to buy fuel at whatever price it can. So that's what's going on. NNPC is no longer a wholly government enterprise. And of course, like I said, when the details of this are released, then we know. But that is the sign.
All right. Thank you, Shey. Now, if we look at the federal government keeping more over the price increase by the marketers, what do you have to say on this? In spite of the fact that the federal government has insisted that petrol should sell for 165 naira.
Actually, as of now, I've not seen the details, the modus operandi of the new NNPC that has been commercialized. So the talking will be a bit limited, but before now, as we speak now, federal government is still in charge of NNPC. Those who regulate. Let me tell you, sometimes ago there was this institution that maybe they going want to plans to increase the pump price, and later they now said no. Even they said they want to remove the subsidy. But we should not forget that in 2015, the incumbent president said then, he was still the candidate. He said subsidy is a scam. Even the APC as a whole, there's something like that subsidy that it just some very infinitesimal numbers of individuals and are just enjoying that like this. There's something like subsidy. Up till now, they've not been able to stop it. Rather, they keep paying subsidy. So to me, that also talk more about this government that they did not do what they promised to do in that regards. And now that the NNPC is now being privatized, so to say, it's now an enterprise. I pray we don't experience what we are experiencing in the power sector. And in 2019, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Vice President Atiku, when he was contesting, he said if given opportunity to rule the country, he's going to privatize the NNPC. I think some people then they attacked him, they talked ill of him. But today, that thing has come to pass. My own fear, because like if truly they allow the NNPC to operate as it were, I believe so much that we enjoy it. Nigerians will enjoy it. Take for example, see this our cell phone that we are using now. If you are not working with one network provider, you switch to another one. So nobody can just hold you down to one line. So I think if, as we go on, if they are able to do that, but presently it is unfair to Nigerians for federal government to keep more. As we speak to that, I think one Kurukuba was telling me this after that he bought fuel at the rate of 200 naira. So anybody can just fix his own price at his own convenience. So not minding as if we don't have law, as if we don't have regulation. That's what we are doing. So to me, in that regard, it's unfair for the federal government to have kept moves and be watching, not saying anything. If despite that, the fact that truly the NNPC has been privatized, but nevertheless, the federal government is still in charge to make proper regulations so that there won't be discrepancies in the pump price.
Okay. So
it is unfair for the government to have kept.
Okay. Now, so let me ask this. And you see, the concern I have here is that even if the marketers are to deregulate the price of petrol, the federal government has the duty to have come out openly and say, okay, it is handing off the price of petrol. Why should they now allow the marketers?
You know one thing about the oil industry in Nigeria.
Yeah.
It is so it's a cesspool of this. It's a cesspit of scandals and corruption, and owing to the fact that series of government, have been unable to tame that monster called the oil industry. I believe that government just testing waters by keeping mum, as usual. That let me see if, by keeping mum, by keeping quiet, they're testing waters. Let's see how Nigerians will receive, total deregulation of pump price of fuel and other products. Okay. So, like I say, I may be wrong, but I think government is just testing waters with that. But I believe that at the end of the day, NNPC will have no sole determinant power to fix
the
price of petroleum products anymore. Okay. Because there are so many issues at stake in the oil industry. We just talked about the subsidy, which was a scam for so many years. A lot of people just collect money without supplying anything. In fact, had it not been the presence of Nigeria, the oil industry would have collapsed totally. But the fuel that you get at your filling stations, you will not have been able to get it. Because even the NNPC itself, that's supposed to be another giant on its own. Even if you have other foreign companies competing, the NNPC should have been an equal partner. But if there is a crisis in the oil industry, the NNPC should have been able to fill in the gap. Okay. But the NNPC has been failing over the years. It has been failing to play that role, just like other government agencies have failed. The NITEL has failed to fill the gap to perform the role it's supposed to perform. That's why we have MTN and others now taking over the communication space. So the same thing is oil. And when you know that the oil is the cash cow of government in this country, it is unfortunate that NNPC has failed woefully to perform its statutory obligations. Okay. And that's why we're having all this crisis. Okay. If NNPC had been up to the task, there will be no problem about all these maybe this scam, fuel shortage, this kind of no.
All right. Thank you, Shola. Sheyi, if you look at the federal government keeping mum over the issue, is it right for the government to allow the marketers to have taken advantage of the situation?
I'm saying it is totally wrong and it is unfair, because as a federal government, why we have government is to give proper directive and direction. Yes. So I expect that government should be able to have control. Not that the marketer cannot dictate what you want to do when we have government that should give direction that regard. So it is totally wrong for government to try to look away, trying to hide under the new PIA, Petroleum Industry Act. So it's so unfortunate. Okay. Yes, the new law said the government will not have control over NNPC, but the shareholders. But nevertheless, as we speak today, federal government is still in charge of NNPC because they've not started implementing the laws. All right,
see. Quickly before we round up on this topic, Shola, do you see the commercialization of NNPC as of today? Do you see it performing better than it was before?
Of course, I want to see it as performing, but it depends on the procedure, okay, on the various parameters, given for its commercialization. Okay. I believe that it is because we don't have the right people manning our various government agencies, okay, or people who are committed, okay, to serving Nigeria. Okay. So once we have people who are committed, I want to believe that until government realizes that most of our giant economic ventures should be handled by knowledgeable technocrats, even for the private sector, who are people who can squeeze water out of stone. Those are the people. Those are the kind of people that we need to man our the commanding heights of our economy. People who know who know their own, who know their honors, who know what to do, who have done their own work, who have projected that within so many years this thing will happen, the development, the oil industry will have developed to this level.
Okay.
Those are the kind of people that we need. Dangote on his own is constructing the biggest oil refinery in Africa. How many years has it taken Dangote to reach that level? How many years? Maybe less than 5 years anyway. And we had a government, all our refineries that have been down for more than 20-30 years. The government cannot even resuscitate one of the refineries. Talk less of building new ones. And we have an individual who has grown a refinery within 5 years, the biggest of such kind. So those are the kind of people that we need to man the commanding heights of our economy. Let's forget about all these kind of.
All right. Seyi, do you see the new NNPC performing better than previously?
At least I've been able to study some of the section of the new PIA. It gives power to NNPC now.
Okay.
And even one of he said the government will no longer just have overbearing control of what is happening, and they have power also to determine their price and how we want to go about it. So I think with that, but my fear, this is Nigeria.
Okay.
I pray that Nigeria factor is not certain that we experience what we are experiencing in the power sector. But if they're able to follow what the law says and able to do what they expect as a commercial entity, I think they are good to go, and the Nigerians will be better from it.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's go to the third topic of our discussion for today. Governor Matawale to traditional rulers seek approval before conferring titles. Given this kind of order, and bearing in mind that the traditional rulers also have control over their jurisdiction. Shola, do you see this kind of this kind of order being carried out by traditional rulers?
I think the first question I will ask anybody who presents this kind of scenario to me is that there are chieftaincy laws.
Yes.
I want to believe there are chieftaincy laws in Nigeria.
Okay.
It may differ from state to state.
Okay.
So under those chieftaincy laws and declarations, I think conferment of titles, traditional titles, maybe of maybe of certain grades, will have to be done in accordance. In fact, will have to be done. All traditional titles will have to be carried out in accordance with extant laws. So I wouldn't know whether there are no such extant laws in Zamfara State, or not, or whether such extant laws are being serially violated or ignored.
Okay.
So that would have given me a better focus or a better position on this. But be that as it may, the bone of contention is that the emir installed the terrorists.
Yes.
But there are other explanations that the terrorists had repented. I wouldn't know which one is true. Whether it is as a result of that terrorist repenting that the emir now felt, well, you can be trusted with such a prestigious title. So it depends on what government comes about. I think the governor, before coming out with such an order, I wouldn't know whether the governor had instituted an inquiry or the government has investigated the circumstances that led to the conferment of that title, whether the man who was given that title had truly repented, the extent of his involvement in terrorist activities, and if he had repented, when did he repent? Within what period? To sufficiently show that, well, if you have repented, have you totally reneged? Have you totally forgotten your terrorist activities or denounced it? So these are issues that still have to be clarified, because a person meriting a title. Why do we have the DSS anyway? If anybody wants to contest election now, they'll say submit your, the DSS will have to scrutinize what you have. They have to, back check on your profile, back check on your activities, back check on wherever whichever claim that you have, including your birth, your background, your educational qualification, your career prospect, your career history. You have to the Secret Service duty is to back check on those areas. I wouldn't know what if that process was followed in the case of the turbaned person. So if truly he was a terrorist, and the claim was that he had repented, when did he repent? Was there, what was the method, what was the monitoring mechanism instituted to ensure that this one had repented, is not going back to? So these are the things that ought to have been done, and I want to believe that the Zamfara State governor ought to have carried out all these measures before pronouncing that. Of course, and again, one may argue that maybe emirs in that area, in that state, are fond of just conferring titles on anyone without back checking the profile, without finding out who that person is, whether it's worthy of, whether those persons are worthy of being so enthroned or so turbaned. So all those issues are supposed to have come into play, and until details of that are let out, one may not be able to take a position.
Yeah. Thank you, Shola. Sheyi, coming back to you now. Zamfara State Governor asking traditional rulers to seek approval before conferring titles on people. Rather, do you see this order as being appropriate, bearing in mind that the traditional rulers are also authorities in their own jurisdiction?
Yes. There are authorities in their own jurisdiction. At the same time, they are still under the control of the state government. That's number one. Number two, I will digress a bit to our state. I will not mention in any way a particular monarch. Installed a known somebody, you can call it some of the hard guys.
Okay.
A very sensitive title. And some of us wrote, express our opinion about this. This is not because I believe before someone can be given title, his life, his career must have shown some level of added value that people can see that his worthy, his attitude, his antecedent is worthy of emulation before you can dash that individual any title. So now for Zamfara State government to have come out to tell emirs before you can give any title, you must see approval. It shows that the emirs, they have been giving out titles that does not, even those the recipient of those titles does not want it. And there's like the one that happened in our state. It got a stage when the person that was told that was given that title started using that title to terrorize people.
Again,
Even in the name of that monarch, you now go to a news site, you now go and terrorize people that they are so. I'm representing the monarch. So that monarch, when we not queried the monarch, he now said he was thinking that he had this belief that if he installed that person with that title, maybe you can have a kind of change of you now see himself as somebody that you cannot do this thing again in the society because you are a known person, you are not a chief. So that was his thought. Not a known talk, cannot just install him and be expecting that will change. If he changes, how about his followers? So for that emir, I think they will have used their power, they will have abused the power in their office. Maybe that is the reason why the governor said before you can give out any title, first take approval from the state government, because you cannot just be empowering miscreants in the name of giving titles, and at the end of the day we have a very negative effect in society. Because what the lessons that should be learned is that anybody being given titles is to send a kind of good signal to people that if you can do this, you also can achieve. So be a person of a very high, that has integrity, that has very good pedigree. So you can be counting worthy to also enjoy such a title. But if it otherwise, it shows that anybody can just come up any day and start take any title. Maybe just maybe that person has money, just give money and take title and begin to
yeah. Okay, thank you, Sheyi. Now, away from Zamfara now,
Okay.
if we look at the way people have been celebrated, people that are supposed not to.
Yeah.
You see, the issue in Zamfara is just one case out of many across the country.
Yeah.
It do happens with the traditional rulers, the worship centers. Talk of so many areas. Is it supposed to be like this, Shola?
It's not. It's a product of I think we have moral crisis now in Nigeria. Moral crisis. And it's such not sitting so terrible and it's so terrifying that it has, and you know the greatest problem it is creating is that the next generation, so many generations maybe after this, are now being pilloried, being eroded into thinking that there's nothing, there's hard work or whatever, integrity or whatever. No, it doesn't pay. Our own generation, I mean, when I got a job as a civil servant, how much? I never, in fact, before I got a job, when I was in school,
okay,
those my brothers who were taking care of me, who were sending me to school, how much were they receiving? I never thought that somebody would receive 1,000 naira salary. I never, at that time, I never had 1,000 naira because the money was so, how much were they receiving? Or how much did they, were they paid as salaries? But they were able to fulfill their obligations, not only to their children, but to their family members, to their extended family members, like us. They had little, but there was tangible things to do with it. Now today, you have multiples. I mean, the salaries you receive can be quantified in multiples, and there's something to show for it. So it has now made younger generations now feel, what is it? You are 20 grade level 1 and promotion 2, 3, 4, 5. At the end of the day, level 17. At the end of the day, you may not even get your entitlement. So, no, people no longer think on the pedestal of morality, integrity anymore. And when you now look at the way miscreants are being celebrated, like you said, miscreants are being celebrated. People just run into money without any visible sign of income, and grandstanding and groveling and oppressing people about. So, what will you tell? You find it difficult to tell your children. You have to be, you have to work. Even if he doesn't, you just say, look at this man. He's thinking all this kind of thing. So there are so many children that will not even want. Well, I would say, because they now that this is what you have been handing with all your qualification all these days. Handing 100,000, So I mean, what can you do with this? There's a friend of mine. He has also retired. You want to briefly. His children, they stumble on his pay slip.
Okay.
He has always been keeping his pay, and they had to ask that when he came back from work, the children asked him to kneel down, and he started praying. That, Daddy, is this what you earn? And you're able to train us? And the man at the time had to say so many things. They started praying for him. They never believed that, that was what he was earning. So how many people in this generation can do that?
All right, Shola, thank you. See, now, if you see the way these things are, this issue of confinement of chieftaincy title is permeating every aspect of our strata in this country, are you not worried?
I think I've said it here sometimes ago that we need to query our value system. We have an issue from that. Take for example, some months ago, I was driving around 8:30 p.m. So I now drove around along this Abiri, in front of INEC office. There is this speed breaker. So there was a a particular vehicle in front of me, Jeep, automatic Benz, no number, white, no number, and the phone number at the back. Now there's this policeman, all that they do a kind of checkpoint. They have a checkpoint there. They did not stop this Jeep. Even the man also give a compliment. So he now stopped me. I carried my own Wanda. He now said, stop. I don't know. I said, wait, did you stop this vehicle? Do you know the person inside? Did you query? I think you should, instead of stopping me, you see, I think you can the vehicle that doesn't have plate number with tinted glass. I don't know, maybe it is a criminal. So you are not stopping me. Just like go. No. You want to have, you know. That is how it works. It's go. Because you just see people that you don't know the sources of their income. You don't see them with big money, big car, and before you know it, you just presently they are everywhere. Even within the government circle. You have them as
don't forget that we have, you know, I think we once had an association of mothers of Yahoo.
Yes.
Yahoo mothers.
So you see that you have them in the lawmaker that are making law for us. So you know.
Okay. Now, quickly before we round up, Shola, in 1 second, what is the way out?
Well, the way out, as I've always said repeatedly, is that let us all pray and work to get those who will fix this country.
Okay. Sheyi, your final remark.
I think before we get to that, fixing the country.
Okay.
Go back to our primary school,
okay,
our nursery school, our secondary school.
Okay.
History and value education.
Okay.
To start again. So this they can change, reorientate our children.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Viewers at home, this is where we are going to end up the program for today. Shola, I appreciate your coming today. Sheyi, thank you for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Viewers at home, tomorrow is another day when you join my colleague for another edition of the program. Until then, I am Kayode Adebayo. Bye-bye.